Previously on the David Eagle podcast.
Angry wind and brass players. Moroccan women loosening up my backside in two different ways.
Take off your clothes, my faithful followers.
Yeah.
I've not had an experience like that since the pyrotechnics orgy.
Wash it, fry it, smash it.
How about I take you where the sun don't shine, my friend? Wham bam, thank you, Imam. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, my goodness.
I have just been attacked by a bird.
And now, get ready for some thoroughly enjoyable Tosh. It's the David Eagle podcast. Yes, my friends, it's Tosh time. Maybe that could become a catchphrase, perhaps. That's based, by the way, on Helen, who reviewed the podcast last week, saying thoroughly enjoyable Tosh, which I very much enjoyed. And maybe it's Tosh time could become a catchphrase. Who knows? We'll see. I'll probably forget next week. Or maybe it'll become a thing that I say every single week. Maybe people will get T-shirts and merchandise with it's Tosh time written on. And Helen's probably thinking, will I be getting any royalties? No, I'm afraid not, Helen. You shouldn't need financial remuneration. Surely it should be enough to know that you will be going down in the annals of podcast history. But bad news on the money front, Helen, but good news in that Helen is a big fan of the dishwashing entries. Often I'll be recording one of the day's entries while washing the dishes, and Helen, along with other people, have really enjoyed those episodes. And I'm pleased to say we'll be back with another dishwashing extravaganza on this week's episode of the David Eagle podcast, which I should have said at the start, but I got carried away with my new catchphrases. Tosh time is for the week commencing the 19th of February to the 25th of February. I'm recording something every single day. And on one of the days, Ellie will be in the kitchen by herself. She's gone solo. While I was out doing a gig, she decided to record a solo entry of the David Eagle podcast, which was quite useful actually, because I was having a very busy week. So I don't know if it was altruism or egotism. Either way, she will be telling you about the time that she was a stripper. Ellie's mother listens to this. I'm sure she'll be wondering what the heck that's all about. But all will be revealed. Well, I think all was revealed, maybe. We'll hear all about what was revealed a little bit later on. Talking of revelations, what will be revealed on the cassette tape that we play from on the return of our feature, Cassette Roulette? I've amassed hundreds of cassettes that I recorded from when I was a kid up to probably about 17 or 18. I was quite surprised by what I found. Also, we've got another guide dog story. We're back out on the streets of Sheffield solving crime. And Ellie is teaching me a new activity in the bedroom. And I'm sure there's lots more besides all of that, but there's no point telling you about what's coming up because you're listening to it for goodness sake. And I think I've teased you enough with the stripper stuff. So there you go. That's the crack. Unfortunate choice of phrasing given we've just been talking about strippers, but anyway, that's what's coming up on this week's episode of the David Eagle podcast from the 19th to the 25th of February. Enjoy.
Ellie is in the bedroom, I'm downstairs, and I can hear this absolute racket. I don't know what the heck Ellie is doing. I have my suspicions. It's been a while since she's done this, but she's up in the bedroom making noise. She's engaged in some kind of activity. Let's head up the stairs. I'm joining Ellie here. Hello, Ellie.
Hello.
So, there's a little clue. I was going to see if listeners could guess what Ellie is doing in the bedroom. I know Olivia is thinking, you can keep messing with the phone, David, but it will never beat What's That Biscuit? Just stick to what's good, but we always have to move forward. Olivia, that's how we do things here. So, here's the sound. Ellie said don't step forward. What is she doing? Okay, I think I know what you're doing. And I think for the podcast, I should have a go at this thing. And maybe what we can do is every single day before we start an entry, I will attempt to do this thing and see if I get better at doing this thing. But I really feel we need to reveal to the listeners what this thing is.
Have a feel of this.
Oh, it's a big ball she's presented me with. I've got a big ball in my hand.
Yeah, it's quite heavy.
And that's attached to...
A carabiner.
For the subtitlers, it's a carabiner, not a Caribbean. We don't want any complaints here saying you're touching big balls to Caribbean people.
And then it's on this little thing. So it's a weighted hula hoop. So it's one that kind of fits tightly around your middle, and then there's a track in the middle of it, which is this bit.
I don't think I'd be any good at this. Okay, so the idea is I'm going to see if I can improve in a week my hula hooping, and you'll follow my progress in the podcast.
I'm doing this in the bedroom because it's the room with the most space. However, there is a slight risk if the thing comes off because we have got a wardrobe with a massive glass door. You need to take the dressing gown off, mate.
Oh, yes, that's good. Just general hula hooping protocol here. If you would just getting some tips for yourselves, listeners. If you're going to hula hoop, take your dressing gown off.
Shall I hold that for you?
That she's referring to the microphone. Because a normal hula hoop I'm not very good at because it just keeps falling off.
Okay,
but this can't fall off me.
No, it can't fall off, but you can lose momentum. So the danger here is that you're also going to hit me.
So I don't really know how to hula hoop. You do something with your hips like this.
Oh, yeah, if only I was taking pictures.
You should probably video it.
I've got it on. So what you need to do is kind of fling the ball with your hand in one direction or the other.
Okay.
To start a bit of momentum.
Right.
And then...
Here we go. Hula hoop attempt 1. So it's not moved. Oh, it hit me in the bloody testicles. Okay, well, we'll come back to this. I'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we'll see how we get on, listeners. And we'll keep doing this. There's another, 6 of these to go. And I'm sure by the end of it, I'll be an expert. And you'll be like, oh, bloody hell, David, this has been going on for 20 minutes now. Give it a rest. Anyway, that's an additional little thing that we hadn't planned. But the reason I had come up is because today we are doing our new feature based on the fact that we were looking through Ellie's celebrity photos and she had a picture of herself with some Neighbours characters from the Australian soap Neighbours when she went to Ramsay Street, which she described as the happiest day of her life.
Best day of my life, yeah.
And I pointed out that we've been married. And I think there's a bit of tongue-in-cheek there. I think, but we want some sort of, as scientific as we can get it, we want some evidential, what's the word?
Evidence.
Sample. Evidential evidence.
Yes.
We want some evidential samples that people can look at and, in other words, photos. I don't know why I'm making this. So we have a photo of Ellie on her wedding day and we have a photo of Ellie in Ramsay Street. And we put that on social media and people have cast their votes. The question was, do I look happier in Ramsay Street or on my wedding day? So it is time. And I think this is only going to be a one-off feature. I don't think we can do it again, unless Ellie has another wedding day. But then if she was doing that, I probably wouldn't be hosting a podcast with her. Who knows? I might have found acceptance, and who knows? But that's something for the future, perhaps. But right now, it's time for our new feature entitled Nuptials or Neighbours. I've got a little jingle for you, everybody.
Ooh.
It's time for Nuptials or Neighbours.
Neighbours or nuptials, nuptials or neighbours. Time for you to study Ellie's facial behaviours. Look at the photos, tell me what do you say? Is she happier on Ramsay Street or on our wedding day?
You look so pleased with yourself.
You put 2 things up. You put a poll on Facebook, I believe.
On Instagram.
Oh, you put a poll on Instagram, and you tried to do a poll on Facebook, but that didn't work, so people have just sent in their comments instead. But we'll use this information as best we can. Ellie has been preparing for this. She's been looking at election coverage to see how it should be done. I mean, David Dimbleby will be quaking in his boots.
So we have over 30 comments on Facebook.
My goodness.
We have 3 comments in addition to the poll on Instagram. So I'm going to start with Instagram because the option on Instagram was you could just select one or the other. You didn't need to leave a comment. So comment number 1 from Al Caddypod, Ramsay Street, obviously.
Oh dear.
That is a blow for David Eagle.
Oh, really? Well, I suppose that would make up for it.
Shut up, David.
Okay.
Helen, this is making me want to dig out my old Ramsay Street photos from 1998.
So she hasn't actually commented on the thing.
She has voted, but these are just the comments. And then I don't have a clue says, absolutely love her hair, so pretty. Like, thank you, I don't have a clue. But we had 35 responses and 40% of them went for Ramsay Street.
Ooh.
And 60% of them went for marrying David Eagle.
Excellent. So we are 60% up
on wedding, listeners, but there's still all to play for as we head to Facebook.
So
Okay.
Marie says, I love it has to be Ramsay Street.
So I don't know how we do this. If you got 60 out of 100...
Well, no, it was out of 35 before. It was percentage.
Okay, so what would that be? We need to work out 60% of 35. My goodness, David Dimbleby.
21.
David Dimbleby's like going, he's just making this so effortless. 21 votes for wedding.
Yes. Well, I've got 14 for Ramsay Street already from Instagram.
So you've got 14 for Ramsay Street on Instagram.
Yeah.
I've got 21.
Yeah.
So we're going to add that to the tally. So Marie, she says Ramsay Street, taking Ramsay Street to 15.
Okay. Lauren says, I'm voting for the wedding. Corey.
Okay, we're 22 up.
Wedding.
22, 15, 23, 15.
Pam says wedding.
24, 15.
Brooke says wedding.
25, 15.
But probably mainly because my hair is so awesome.
It's still 25, 15. There's
Rachel
no caveats.
says wedding.
26, 15.
Mary says wedding.
It's an absolute whitewash.
Elizabeth says definitely wedding.
So-
Ellie looks stunning and David's not bad either.
Yeah, it's 27, 15, I believe. Unless I've
Maureen.
accidentally not counted one.
Let's go with that.
But-
Maureen says wedding day.
28, 15.
Irene says wedding day.
29, 15.
Melanie says wedding.
30, 15. My goodness, we are now doubled the results for wedding over Ramsay Street. Neighbours is getting an absolute thrashing.
Graham says any day spent with you, David, must have been better than one surrounded by shackle draggers. So I think that's a vote for the wedding with some mild racism.
31, 15.
Olivia says definitely the wedding.
32, 15. She's thinking, never mind that, David. Did you serve biscuits at the wedding? I can't remember.
She
Olivia.
also says, you look happy in Ramsay Street, but your grin is bigger and cheesier in your wedding photo. Also, can't beat the rainbow hair.
32, 15.
Ron says, the eyes have it on the wedding day.
33, 15.
Andrea says, definitely the wedding day.
34, 15.
You both look so happy. Ian says, wedding day.
35, 15.
Shelley says, wedding day.
36, 15.
Julie says, wedding day.
37, 15. I like the fact that we built a little bit of tension with the 14 to 21, and then since then, I keep looking, I'm not even sure if I've lost count. It was 37 or 38 to 15. I can't remember. Just to play it safe. No, I think it was 38, 15.
Maxine, wedding day.
39, 15.
Carla Jane, wedding day.
40, 15.
Norma, wedding
41,
day.
15.
Cherie, wedding.
42, 15.
You look ecstatic to be together.
Those are the days.
Sandra says wedding.
43, 15.
Steve says wedding.
44, 15.
Jennifer, wedding.
45, 15.
Susie, wedding.
46, 15.
Valerie, wedding.
47, 15.
Nikki, wedding.
48, 15. So I think people...
JC, wedding. And the final...
49, 15. I think people are more cynical on Instagram because literally there's one person who said Downing Street. That's another one. We'll see if she looks at me on Downing Street. That's next week's feature. Okay, you said there's one more?
And that is John, who says, both look good.
So it's neutral.
Yeah.
It's neutral there, John. That doesn't really work. 49, I believe, to 15. And if we took Instagram out of the situation, it would essentially be an absolute whitewash.
Yeah.
So there we go, Ellie. You were officially happier on your wedding day, but of course a lot of time has elapsed since then. Maybe that's why you've changed your opinion. Oh dear. That's the thing, the tension. She's been sitting on these results for a long time, and a massive tension release there with Ellie manifesting itself in the form of a sneeze. What drama. So I think it's unlikely that feature will make a return, unless, of course, the results start coming in from Bebo and MySpace. I think it's unlikely that will see the light of day again, or unless Ellie manages to have another wedding and/or gets back to Ramsay Street.
Yeah, well, it's been cancelled again, hasn't it? It's really gone this time.
But Ramsay Street presumably still exists.
Yes,
not?
I mean, it isn't really called Ramsay Street. They just named it that for the show. But there is still the little cul-de-sac that it's filmed in.
All good things must come to an end. How very apt as we say goodbye to our fleeting feature. Seems a shame, really, bearing in mind I spent a good 3 hours working on the jingle. But never mind. It's time to say goodbye on our feature, Nuptials or Neighbours.
Neighbours or nuptials, nuptials or neighbours, 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 neighbours. Neighbours or nuptials, nuptials or neighbours, neighbours, neighbours.
So I'm just going to get out of the way.
Ellie's getting out of the way. My big ball is dangling between my legs at the moment. I'm going to try and keep it away from my testicles. And it's hula hooping attempt 2, day 2. They say that sleep helps consolidate memories. I had a good 8-hour sleep tonight, and apparently it's that last hour where memory consolidation happens, and if you learn a new skill, then your brain will actively kind of form the connection. So has that happened? I've had a good sleep regime. How has an extra day changed things? Let's find out as we spin the big ball and begin the hula hooping. I'm slightly concerned I'm going to peak too soon here, listeners, and it's going to be too good, and that sort of ruins the feature.
I don't share that concern.
But here we go. Let's see what happens. So it's not a fluid motion, but they have improved a little bit, I would say. I haven't hit myself in the testicles this time. I hit myself in the knee instead.
Okay.
So we'll come back to this for day 3. There's still time, everybody, to get that hula hooping moving for more than a quarter of a second. Now we have brought you on this podcast multiple times, me in the bath. And I've not had anybody who says that they've found it disturbing. I was listening to something yesterday and they were talking about someone was on the phone and they were calling from the bath and they couldn't believe that this person had answered their phone, was just happily talking to this person while they were in the bath. And the other person said, once they realised they were in the bath, they hung up. They said, I can't have this. And they hung up because they just felt uncomfortable by the idea that they're in the bath. And there's me podcasting from the bath. But we've had no complaints. We've also had no one commenting to say that they've enjoyed it. I mean, to be honest, I'm perfectly happy with neutrality. If people are neutral about it, I think I'd prefer that, to be honest. I'm hoping that people don't feel uncomfortable by it, but I'm also hoping that people aren't getting aroused by it either, you know. Actually, I think I'd quite like it. I think I'd quite like that. If there's somebody listening out there who's having a bit of time to themselves whilst listening to me in the bath, well, it doesn't have to be in the bath. They might get aroused by me doing the dishes. You never know. Who knows what part of the podcast they would get aroused by? Maybe the story about the time that I farted and accidentally shit myself. Who knows? Anyway, this wasn't the point of what I was trying to talk about. What was I saying? Oh yes, we're heading to Bath, as in the place Bath. I think I was trying to do a sort of a seamless, clever link, saying, we often go in the bath on the podcast, but this time we're going to Bath. But I then tangented. It's 2023, and we're playing some old stand-up clips. We're going through the archive. I've already played you a few clips from my Somerset rural tour. I mean, some of them I had to really adapt what I was doing, and I had to be extremely toned down. And I wouldn't say I'm particularly, I'm not massively racy. Just the subtitlers, I said racy. I mean, I say that, I've just done a whole thing on this podcast about people masturbating while listening to the podcast, but it's those dog stories that do it for me, David. I don't know why these people in my head who are getting aroused by me, why do they have to be Yorkshire men? I don't know. That's not my predilection, by the way. I think that's my go-to voice for a pervert. That's right, I shouldn't say pervert, really. I mean, it's not a very PC word, probably. It's a funnier word than saying, what else could I say? People with unusual kinks. So I think I just go for pervert, if you don't mind. I think that's my go-to voice. If I'm trying to do a slightly lascivious person, I'll go Yorkshire and I'll put a gravel in my voice. Some people would say it's not that dissimilar to my own voice. When people do impressions of me, they'll do this. They'll go, hello, I'm David Eagle, and they'll really put a rasp in their voice, and they'll go all northern if they're doing an impression of me. And I don't think that sounds like me. Like, this is me now talking. I don't speak like this, but people will make the voice and they gravel me. That's what they'll do. Having said that, I did a gig in Suffolk and someone reviewed that gig for a newspaper and they described me as the gravelly-voiced northern comedian with some rather tasteless jokes. So actually, I say I'm not that racy. I don't think I am. Certainly not now. I think when you start out, you're doing a lot of kind of rowdy pubs. People are shouting at you and you've got to be kind of combative, I think, sometimes when you first start out. So I probably did start out a lot more sweary and shouty, but now, not really. But despite that, I still had to tone it down a lot more for some of these rural Somerset Village Hall gigs. These are people who would blanch at bum. By which I mean the word bum, by the way. I wasn't showing my arse to old-age pensioners in Somerset. Anyway, in the middle of this rural Somerset Village Hall tour, performing to some very mild-mannered people, I did a lovely gig in Bath. And I'll play you a few little clips from that. And just before I went on stage, somebody told me that where I was playing, Nigel Farage had recently been and had been given short shrift from the locals and the landlord. So I'll be mentioning that. And there's also some theatrics with a water bottle as well. And I do get quite ostentatious. Unfortunately, we don't have a video of this. It's only audio, so you won't be able to see the stunts that I attempt to do with my bottle. Anyway, here are some clips from my gig in Bath. That's always nice. You always wonder what music you're going to come out to when it's... as I come out onto the stage, it's Freak Out. Very much. Good to be heckled by the musical choices. Thank you very much, Nick. There you go. So, for those people, I don't know how many people... Have you seen me before? Do you know... Yeah. Excellent. I love the fact that you furnished me with extra detail. Yes, I've seen you once. I believe it was July the 14th. And the moon was in a crescent shape. Thank you very much for the extra detail. I don't know how many people know this, but I won the Bath New Comedian of the Year final in 2019. I mean, I'm not mentioning that for an applause. Yeah, exactly. And but the reason I mention it is because someone from the Bath Echo wrote as their quote, and bearing in mind this is a quote that I still use, even though by every passing minute is clearly untrue. It says, David Eagle will be playing live at the Apollo very soon, mark my words, guaranteed. Bearing in mind that's 2019, I still use that as a quote in 2023. Which is really embarrassing because it hasn't happened. But rather than being a bit ashamed and just taking it off, I'm going, no, I'm still plugging away there. So, yeah, it's not live at the Apollo, but I have done Somerset Village Hall. So, if there's any of the other comedians in tonight thinking, I'll go and watch, see what promises. It's this gig and Somerset Village Hall circuit. If you couldn't make it, the villagers felt obliged to send in their apologies in advance. So as I was waiting in the wings, ready to go on, Chic the Freak fading out, of course, into the distance. That always happened. And at least I didn't have to come on to some of the other songs. I mean, I'm Every Woman was one of the other choices. I'm Every Case, welcome, David Eagle. Well, the song before it was Good Time, and bearing in mind we started 7 minutes late, that wouldn't be a very good one, would it? But anyway, I'm sort of waiting in the wings, and I suddenly hear, before we start, to just get the apologies in, Gladys unfortunately can't make it. She's in the south of France with Cynthia. Derek said he'd love to be here, but apparently there's a documentary on BBC Radio 4 about grey squirrels. Now, please welcome David Eagle. And out I come, and I'm sure I heard a couple of people walking out. Apparently they didn't realise there was a documentary about grey squirrels. Although they were a bit hard of hearing at the back, and I think they thought he said gay squirrels. They got very excited when they turned Radio 4 and they heard how the male squirrels like to take each other's nuts. Well, it wasn't what they thought it was. They came back rather aptly with their tails between their legs. Anyway. Oh dear, I won't get alive at the Apollo at this rate, will I? Eh? They'll be writing it up in the Bath Echo. I take it all back. What? What?
Oh, well done.
Oh, hey, that's brilliant. Hey, at least you got something from the night. Well done. He found his bottle of water. Was it very funny? No, but there was a moment where he put his bottle of water down a little bit too far away from the microphone, we thought, for him to find, but he found it in one. Absolutely brilliant. There we go. I like a bit of logistics and patronising. It's been a wonderful night for me. Before that point, someone did shout something out. Was it anything interesting, or should we move on? Thanks for your help. Now, I know most of you enjoyed that, but I know why one person in particular has come, so just really to spice things up now. Found it, yeah. There we go. I love the idea of someone who wasn't there for the first time I picked the bottle up. Just going, what on earth is that? Was that someone audibly walking out? Or was that someone audibly walking in? Words got round. There was a maverick in time. He spun around 3 times and picked up his water bottle. Certainly, I'm not sure about all this talking bit, but the rest of it. Apparently Nigel Farage came into the Bell, the pub The Bell, and was given short shrift, apparently, yeah.
I saw him.
You saw him?
I did.
Wow, what happened? And we made love. He insisted on lying on the right, of course. What happened? Anything?
He got thrown out.
Oh, did he?
Landlord, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Did you protest?
No, I just observed and took a few photos.
Oh, God. You took some... You're not that journalist, are you? I have seen you before, yes, David. I thought you'd be alive at the Apollo by now, but... Oh,
Oh, not quite. Not quite.
Okay, you need to go more to the left again.
Okay, we're back,
Step
listeners.
forward a bit.
I'm back. I've got my big
Jesus.
ball in my hands. I've got my knees positioned. I'm aiming for better than a quarter of a second, I think. Here we go. Let the hula hooping begin.
Keep going.
Oh, it's doing it.
Keep going.
It's doing it.
Keep going.
No, it stopped.
Okay.
We were seeing some progress there, weren't we?
We were.
There was a little bit of movement. I kept it going. I'd say that was that. I must keep it going for at least a second there.
Yeah.
So, listeners, coming surely by Sunday, I'll have mastered this bugger. It's time for yet another episode from the kitchen. And dare I dream, thinks the listener. Can it be? Yes, it can. I am doing the dishes. I think some of the content that's been generated whilst washing the dishes, I think has been particularly good. Maybe there's just something in the hot water, in the bowl. People are messaging to say how much they are enjoying the dishwashing episodes. We mentioned last week Helen, but we've had a couple of other little comments from people saying that they're enjoying the dishwashing episodes. So, I don't know, maybe as well, maybe it's not just the atmosphere that they enjoy of the clinking and indeed the clanking. I don't know what the difference is. Why should I say that? I think I do know what the difference is. A clink is what I expect you'd get more from a glass. I don't know if you're with me here, listeners. That's not my impression of a clink, by the way. That was me clapping my hands. I've no idea why I clapped my hands. I just did. I'm practising my dancing. I don't see why Chris McCausland should be the only blind comedian who people think is a good dancer. I'm going to bloody show him up. So I'm just doing my little foxtrot. I think a clink is more glass-based and a clank more metal. I hope that's not too controversial. I'm sure we'll be getting some people messaging in now saying, well, actually, David, I think you'll find a teaspoon is metal, and I would say it makes more of a clink than a clank. You're quite right. You're quite right. Clapping again. I'm applauding you. Quite right. Yes, so actually it's not just material. Oh, bloody hell. Was that a clank? Now that was, I believe, a clank. And that was the sound of a clothes horse made out of metal, I believe, a mix of metal and plastic, and a stepladder, which is made out of metal. And so I would say material can be a factor, but I think it's also dependent on size. A smaller item made out of metal would clink. But we could listen out as we go. You clink glasses, don't you? People say we clinked glasses. You never hear people say we clank glasses. Yes, so I'm pleased that people are enjoying, or at least they were enjoying before this point, I don't know about now, the dishwashing episodes. Maybe I need to incorporate this into my stand-up. And it could work quite well, couldn't it? Because if I can get a table set up on stage, get a bowl of water, and then audience members could bring their dishes for me to wash. So not only are they getting a stand-up gig, but they're also getting the dishes washed as well. And maybe I could get from the audience, we could have a drying rota, and I could pick someone from the audience. They are my dryer-upper, and we have a bit of banter between us. So, for instance, if they're joking away with me, I might take the dish off them that they're drying, and I'll say, your humour might be dry, but this dish certainly isn't. That kind of thing. You know, so I'd have some prepared lines. Anyway, I wanted to tell you a little story. It's another guide dog story. So the story is, unfortunately, a lot of the time, someone who's blind will get a taxi, and if they've got a guide dog, the taxi driver will just drive away or refuse to take the dog. And so therefore they have to get another taxi, and people can be waiting nearly an hour because taxis just keep driving by. But this is just something that blind people to sort of get used to if they've got a guide dog, unfortunately. And a lot of the time as well, you know, they don't necessarily even know, if they're by themselves, they don't even know that the taxi's driven past. So it was no surprise when Sid was waiting for a taxi, he gets a message to say the taxi's a minute away. A few seconds later, the car slows down and pulls up. So he gets in, and immediately the driver's saying, no, mate, I'm sorry, I can't do this. And Sid's used to this. He tries to be calm in these situations and just explains, you know, it'll be absolutely fine. Don't worry about it, you know. The dog's calm, under control. He's used to it. It's going to be absolutely fine. But the driver keeps going, no, I'm sorry, mate. No, this isn't going to work. And Sid's thinking, bloody hell, I need to get to the train station. I can't, you know, I've already waited a while for this taxi. I can't wait any longer. He's going to have to take me. So he's going, no, honestly, mate, it'll be fine. He says, I'll tell you what, why I could get the dog in the back or we could put the dog in the boot, you know, we can find a workaround for this. And the man just sounds really nervous. He's going, no, mate, I just can't see how this is going to work. And he's going, well, it'll be fine. As I said, dog goes in the back or whatever, you know, the dog will be nowhere near you. And the driver sounds really shocked. He's going, I mean, how can this possibly work? And Sid's now incredulous because he's thinking, I'm going to miss the bloody train here. He says, I don't know what you mean, mate. How do I think it's going to work? I've told you. Come on, let me in. I've got to get to the train station. And then there's a bit of a pause, and then the driver says, oh, do you think this is a taxi? And Sid says, yeah. And the driver says, oh, no, mate. I'm not a taxi driver. He says, I'm a driving instructor. He says, there's a taxi, mate. It's just pulled up now. He says, let me take you to it. And so the driver comes round and gets Sid and the dog and takes him to the taxi. So Sid gets in the taxi, the door closes, and the taxi driver just goes, bloody hell. Have you just had a driving lesson? Ah, dear. Absolutely brilliant. That was the sound of the pedal bin hitting the wall. The pedal bin made, of course, out of metal. Hence the clank. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you've been laughing all the way to the clank. Well, yes, we're certainly not laughing after the clank, David, with a joke like that. The big ball's in my hand. It's time to hula hoop. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing it. Oh, it stopped again. Oh, it's going around the other way.
Keep going.
It's going around the other way.
Keep it going.
Oh,
if you just hit yourself in the bum twice.
I'd say that was about 2 or 3 seconds.
That was a bit better.
It is improving. Things are happening. There's still another 3 chances, listeners. You'll be pleased to hear there's another 3 of these still to come on the David Eagle podcast. Join us on Monday.
Hello, listeners. You join me in the house on my own, in the kitchen, making some dinner. David is out at a gig. He's in Huddersfield. Tonight on the bill, it's him and Fiona Allen from the seminal 90s sketch show, Smack the Pony. Was it 2000s? Around then, when I was younger. We were all younger then. I'm cooking some dinner. I've got some chicken marinating in hoisin and soy sauce. I've just chopped up a pepper. I'm about to do the spring onions. I just put the phone down on some baby corn, so that was probably a horrible noise for you. I quite enjoyed listening back to some of those, well, all of those messages on our wedding answer phone. Very sweet, especially because some of them are my nieces and nephews. You know, this was a few years ago now, so they've grown up and they've changed and they've got different voices now because of the ageing process. And one thing that we don't have in my family, which David is immensely frustrated about, is any recordings of me when I was younger, because we didn't have a dictaphone, we didn't have a video camera, but it's just quite nice to have those little snippets of the nieces and nephews as they were when they were 9 or 10, but there's nothing of me. There might be a little snippet, because I was in, when I was 14 or 15, I was in a production of Little Shop of Horrors, and I was in a production of Gypsy, which I would say quite inappropriate for a school production. Sure, Gypsy Rose Lee is a burlesque performer, but that wasn't my role. I had 2 roles. I was the back end of the pantomime cow, and I was also Electra the stripper, which meant I had to have electric lights attached to my body. And I was playing an actual seasoned old stripper, which is, not great at 15. There's a lot of body issues going on there. I've also had a delivery of some shelves, which were my birthday present from David, and they're going in my craft room, and they're going to have all of my materials on. But what's less fun at the moment is that room is very full of boxes, and I'd already unpacked a load of books onto shelves that I now have to take off the shelves, disassemble that shelving unit and hope that it fits into our attic bedroom, and then put the shelves up. But I do like building furniture, which is lucky because it's not really an accessible activity for David to be doing. I mean, I think he'd give it a bloody good go. Maybe we do that with a smaller piece of furniture. I mean, we could video that. Maybe that could be a Patreon thing if we ever set one up. Do you want to see a blind man making flat pack furniture? Hello, everybody. I'm back. I'm about to start cooking. There we go. That's the gas on. We've got some oil. We've got some garlic and ginger in there. We're going to chuck in the marinated chicken very soon. But I've just listened to a bit more of the podcast, and David's talking about the songs that he heard at school. The singing in the bath is such a lovely thing to do. And it reminded me the school production that we did in Year 6, which will have been the summer of 95. It was a piece called Rooster Rag, which was based on Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, I think. Chanticleer and the Fox. Or maybe it's an Aesop fable. I should look that up. Oh, hang on. We've got some sizzling going on. Let's get that chicken in. Whoa. I don't know if people are going to be a little bit disappointed that I have sullied some hoisin sauce by watering it down a little bit, because it was the last bit in the jar, and also adding soy sauce, and then should you be adding garlic and ginger? But I think, yeah, you should. Rooster Rag, anyway, so it was all about Chanticleer and the Fox, and I was one of the singing voices of Chanticleer, and my friend Claire played him, I think. She was the acting role, because there weren't enough roles in this production for us each to have our own part. So instead we have the actors and then we have the singers, and I was one of the singers. I think Jane was Pertelot, Chanticleer's female chicken love interest. Pertelot had a song, "Every time I lay an egg I think of you. You're the only one that I adore. You're the early bird with whom I'd like to share a worm. And if I might presume an ear of corn." Actually, this seems quite inappropriate, singing a love song from a chicken whilst I'm cooking chicken. Is that inappropriate? I don't know. This is where I'd normally have David going, "Oh no, it's very funny, Ellie. It's a juxtaposition of life and death." Did you do any inappropriate school productions when you were at school? Because Little Shop of Horrors, I think that's a pretty good one. I bloody love it. Yes, the world's getting taken over by man-eating plants, and there's a lot of murder in it. But to be fair, murdering the dentist, he was an abusive bastard. It's very different, the ending of the stage show, to the film version. In that, it's quite a happy ending. They survive. Lots of other people don't, because Seymour has fed them to the plant. But in the stage version, turns out that the alien blood and flesh-eating plant, there's lots more of them, and they start taking over America and just eating everyone. And that's it. Everybody dies in the end. So that's quite cheery. But yeah, what school productions did you do, listeners? And were any of them hideously inappropriate?
It's a new week. It's time for a fresh start, new possibilities, new horizons. And I think it's important to get the flatulence out, because surely that can't aid the hula hooping.
No.
So...
Although maybe the slight inflation of your belly was helping the hula hoop stay in place.
Oh, that's a good point.
Knows?
I don't know the tactics. We haven't consulted any sort of medical professionals or scientists or sports therapists on this. Attempt number 5 out of 7. Let the big balls in my hand. It's time to hula hoop. This is better. Oh, it stopped again. But was that 4 seconds, dare I think? It's not going the same way. If we compare it, let's just play a little sound of Ellie doing it now. There's nowhere near the fluid motion. But tomorrow, I think you're going to notice a change. The sound of the kitchen door, you'll all recognise that. And you may well be thinking, another episode in the kitchen, doing the kitchen hat-trick. But no, my friends, you're wrong, because... this is the sound of the living room door. And Ellie as well, of course. And you may well be thinking, another episode with Ellie in the living room. But no, listeners, once again, you're wrong.
Oh, my back just made a good click, but I don't think you would have picked it up.
No, unfortunately not. We had Ellie's stomach, we've had her nose, but we've not yet had the back. She's got a clicky back.
Clicky back.
It's a little parody of the Justin Timberlake sexy back there.
I like how you explain it to people.
I think a lot of people wouldn't have necessarily got that. And bearing in mind that, we have quite a folk crowd,
I'm not sure how much of a crossover there would be there necessarily with Justin Timberlake. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, actually, maybe that is a good parody. I was going to say that's not a very good parody idea, but maybe there is something to be said there. It's like his old man just complaining about his back.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell, I've got a clicky back. Oh, dear. Yes. Maybe I'll work on that.
Good jingle for a chiropractor.
I've got a clicky back that you should get yourself to. Yeah. It's not me arse. It's me back. So we know it's not a kitchen episode. We know it's not a living room episode, even though we've been in the living room now for a minute because I was putting my shoes on. Oh, there's a little clue. That's right, listeners. It's walkies. Let's save some lives.
Hello, this is me interrupting myself. Just to say that when I was listening to this walk back and editing it, and you probably can't believe that I edit these things, but I do. I have two microphones on me, one covering my left, one covering my right. And unfortunately, the right microphone had my coat rubbing against it. So we're not going to be able to use the right microphone for the whole thing. So it's going to go from stereo to mono occasionally. I've got two options. I can either have the whole thing in mono, just picking up from the one microphone that does work, or we can go into stereo and then go into mono when it becomes problematic. I think it's better to do the latter because while we're on this walk, of course, for new listeners, what we like to do, well, it's a duty really, is that we're keeping an ear out to uncover any murder plotting that might be going on. Anyone who's plotting a murder, if we hear that in the background, listeners can message in and we'll try and save a life. And also there's an ambience thing. I think it sounds better, atmosphere, if you've got the stereo sound. So I'm going to plunge you from stereo to mono. I hope it doesn't make you feel dizzy. Maybe I need to do some sort of like an onboarding session just to get you acclimatized. Here we go. Shh, I'll do a noise and I'll move it around the stereo field and then hopefully that'll acclimatise yourselves. Here we go. Shh. There. Hopefully that's helped. So when it happens now, you won't feel disorientated. So I'm really hoping that if a murderer is plotting a murder, I just hope that they're discussing that as they pass me on the left, because that's the microphone that works. If they pass me on the right, you're not going to hear it probably. Depending on whether the murderer is standing to my left or my right is the difference between someone's life being saved. Someone might lose a life because of my microphonic fallibility. Oh, I like that as a phrase though. Microphonic fallibility. Oh, if we'd not had the problem with the microphone, then we'd never have got that phrase. So on the downside, someone might lose their life. But the plus side is, I got to say the phrase microphonic fallibility. So, swings and roundabouts. Talking of which, let's go to the park. Oh, we wouldn't have got that link either. Absolutely brilliant. I think the link would have probably worked a bit better if I have just gone straight to the park after that point, rather than then congratulating myself on the link. But never mind, you don't get that on the Wong Show, do you? On the Wong Show? That's the Chinese version. There's nothing wrong with that joke. Calm yourselves down. Anyway, talking of swings and roundabouts, let's go to the park. So, it's very quiet. It's as if word might have got out. Be careful what you say. David Eagle's in town and he's recording, and all of the murder plotters and just general miscreants of Sheffield have learnt to avoid Hillsborough Park. I should get a thank you note from the Neighbourhood Watch. I have done in one podcast episode what the local Neighbourhood Watch have failed to do after years of hard labour. It's quite a strict Neighbourhood Watch. If you get caught committing a crime, you get sentenced to years of hard labour. Anyway, so as we said at the start of this podcast series, we moved house last September. Obviously in the first couple of weeks, you're getting to know the neighbours. Oh, there's the police siren. There's word not got out that there's no need for them anymore. I've solved the call the crime. The streets are safe. I assume it must be an ambulance or a fire engine. I can't imagine why there'd be any need for the police. But yes, when you move in, obviously you're getting to know the neighbours. I'm pleased to say our neighbours are very nice. And now and again, it's quite a friendly place. A couple of the neighbours would pop around. And indeed, the first Saturday that we'd had in the new place, Ellie had to do something with work, so she wasn't in the house. There was a knock at the door, which I answered. There was a lovely couple who were chatting away to me and introduced themselves and were chatting away, and we were having a lovely conversation for about 20 minutes on the doorstep. And I was thinking, well, it's a lovely sunny day. I would have invited them in, but they seemed absolutely fine, and it was a lovely sunny day. Oh. What the heck is going on? I don't
don't know what's happening. I could hear the sound of a crow, and I could hear the sound of someone laughing. The trouble is, you never know if someone's laughing at what's actually happening in their environment, or if they're laughing because they're listening to something, maybe even the David Eagle podcast. So I went up to them and I said, oh, what's going on? So I thought we'd get some sort of observation from them. Oh, I'm laughing at the crow, it's doing this thing. But they just completely ignored me. I don't know if they realised I was speaking to them. Or maybe, I think this is the problem. I'm just going up to people as if I'm a normal person and going, oh, what's going on? But I forget the reputation that I have after last week. If you come up to them and say, what's going on? They might be thinking, oh, bloody hell, he's onto me. He's rumbled me. The next thing I know, I'm being reported to the Neighbourhood Watch, sentenced to years of hard labour. They know the drill. Oh yeah, they get the drill as well. It is a very strict Neighbourhood Watch. So I don't know what they were laughing at. Maybe they didn't see me at first and they were laughing because they thought, I've got away with a dastardly deed. And then I came up to them and they thought, bloody hell, he's caught me in the act here. I'm laughing. And now it's on record that I was gloating. Who knows? Maybe I should have stuck around a little bit longer. I've let that person off the hook. Oh yes, as I say, it's a very strict Neighbourhood Watch. They get the hook, they get the drill, and then it's hard labour. Anyway, back to the door situation. These people, these neighbours knocking on my door, and we're having a lovely chat on the doorstep. A lovely sunny day. And so I said, oh, well, thanks very much for coming round. So what number are you at? And they said, what? And I said, oh, well, what number house are you at? Whereabouts are you in the street? And they said, oh, no, we don't live here. They said, we live about 20 minutes walk away. And I thought, 20 minutes walk away? That is extending neighbourliness to an extreme. Well, I said, oh, well, what have you come round for then? And they said, oh, no, we are Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, dear. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if I'm being shot at. Good heavens. By Timothy. By Timothy. Oh, there's the drill. Ah, of course. It's the Neighbourhood Watch Outreach Centre. Neighbourhood Watch. For miscreants who are disabled, they have a service. And it's brilliant at what they can do, what service they can provide. Because in the past, if you were in a wheelchair, it would be difficult to get you onto the hook. But now they've got these hoists that can get you out of the wheelchair safely and get you onto the hook. It's the two things that the Neighbourhood Watch are really passionate about. Justice and punishment. That's one thing, by the way. I said there was two things. They're classing that as one thing. Justice and punishment and health and safety and equality. Again, I mean, you could argue that's four things, but they're putting that as one thing. They're putting justice and punishment, health and safety and equality, they're putting them into two brackets. That's another one of their punishments. They put you into two brackets. Anyway, the Jehovah's Witnesses. And then he said, we just go around the houses and I thought, well, bloody hell, you certainly do go around the houses. You've been talking to me for 20 minutes, you've not mentioned once that you're a Jehovah's Witness. If I hadn't have said what you're here for, they might have not ever got round to it. We were talking about all sorts. Well, the Bertie Bassett factory's not too far away in Sheffield. We were talking about all sorts of stuff, having a lovely time. And then you go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like, we're Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't think that parody's going to work. I think stick with Clicky Back. And I think he said we have a theme. We go around on the weekends, and each weekend we have a theme as we knock on people's doors. And he said, this week's theme is peace. What are your thoughts on peace? He said, which I think is a very open-ended question. But also, I think there's a certain irony in knocking on people's doors, disrupting their weekend, keeping them standing there for 20 minutes before announcing that you're Jehovah's Witnesses and your theme is peace. They're just asking for trouble there. Our theme is peace. What are your thoughts on peace? Well, you've just disturbed mine. It's like the other time that the Jehovah's Witnesses came round to the old house and he said, I'd like to read a passage. And he said, have you heard, blessed are the meek? And I thought, yes, I have. And I think it's a bit rich for you to say, blessed are the meek, whilst knocking on people's doors. I'd argue that's not a particularly meek thing to be doing. You clearly think that your belief is the right one, and you're going around trumpeting about it. I think their theme should have been irony, because both times I've been visited by Jehovah's Witnesses, their theme has been being meek and peace, something that they don't seem very good at upholding themselves. And what are they hoping for when they say, what are your thoughts on peace? I don't understand. When does that conversation ever develop successfully? And I was thinking, I can imagine having some lovely chats with these neighbours, Maybe they'll come round now and again for a coffee. Or a tea, sorry. Sorry, I know some of you will be feeling let down. Oh, there he is again.
I've passed the same person. I think he is on the phone laughing. I assume so, unless he's just standing there laughing to himself. I think that was the same person. They're in exactly the same place, so I just assume it is. So I think that person was not someone brazenly gloating about their murder. And to do that so close to the Neighbourhood Watch. I think it's very nice of the Neighbourhood Watch to do the house visiting service, though, because, you know, a lot of people, they'd be reliant on public transport, and I think they got some funding. They got a bit of funding from the council. How many Jehovah's Witnesses become Jehovah's Witnesses because they've had someone knock on their door? I think the problem I have with Jehovah's Witnesses, if there's only a certain number of people who can get into heaven, and that quota has already been filled, what is the point in continuing to recruit? What's the deal with the blood transfusions? Why can't you have them? What happens if a vampire wanted to be a Jehovah's Witness? I mean, they're called Jehovah's Witnesses, but they haven't actually witnessed anything, have they? I mean, could you be in breach of the Trades Description Act? Because they haven't actually witnessed anything. Oh, some more miscreants been shot. We're back there again. We're just doing some laps. In fact, I can't remember who the comedian is. I think it might be the comedian Kerry Marks, who says they're not Jehovah's Witnesses, they're Jehovah's Gossips. I remember having a conversation with someone before from a band, and I was doing an interview with them. And I don't know how it came up in the conversation, but it turns out that she was a Jehovah's Witness, her husband wasn't. And her husband was in the band with her. And she believed essentially that if you weren't a Jehovah's Witness, that you wouldn't get into heaven, you'd go to hell. And I said, so you think your husband is going to hell? And she said, oh, yeah, I do. And he was there with her. And I think I might have even said, what do you think about this? And he was like, oh, I've just learned to, just to let her get on with that aspect of her life. But I'm thinking, it's such an odd thing because it's not an aspect of her life. She believes that for eternity, you're going to hell and she's going to heaven. And she's seemingly fine with that. She said, oh, I'm not fine with it, but that's just the way it is. How have you arrived at that opinion? And the fact that this guy is just tolerant of this, I think, surely that level of tolerance, that level of acceptance from him, loving her for who she is, regardless of these beliefs, surely that's worthy of going to heaven. That is absolutely incredible. That's laudable, surely. But apparently, he's going to hell and she's going to heaven because she happens to have stumbled on the right religion. Maybe because her family had stumbled on that religion in the past, or maybe because someone happened to knock on her door. If she'd have been out that day and the Jehovah's Witness knocked on the door, she'd be going to hell now. And these people have the audacity to knock on my door and say, have you heard the expression, blessed are the meek? We're talking about peace today. And by the way things stand at the moment, we believe you will burn for all eternity in the fires of hell. Now, what are your thoughts on peace? There'll be places in the world where there's absolutely no way, not a single chance that anybody would become a Jehovah's Witness because there's no one to convert them. Apparently, are they going to hell? Just because they've been born in the wrong place. And then also, what's the ridiculousness about only a certain number of people can get into heaven? I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous as well. So by you converting more people, you are diminishing your chances of getting into heaven. So you would have potentially lifelong Jehovah's Witnesses. People who've been Jehovah's Witnesses all their lives, and then someone could just come along the last year of their life, get a knock on the door, and they've done wrong in the world, a few crimes here and there, and they're thinking, oh my God, my moment's come. The Neighbourhood Watch have caught up with me. And they answer the door and they're so relieved that it's not the Neighbourhood Watch house visiting service, community outreach programme. They're so relieved to find out it's not that. They just, out of sheer relief, just convert to being a Jehovah's Witness. And I don't know how God decides who's going into heaven and who isn't, if there's some sort of like lottery system. But then you die and you're there before the gates. When you see this bloke, suddenly go, oh, I remember him, he ended up converting, did he, because if I knocked on his door? And he says, oh yeah, thanks for that, mate, I've just been let into heaven. And then meanwhile, God says, hey, thanks for converting that lad. He was obviously going to go to hell if it wasn't for you. Bad news is, we've met our criteria for the day, we've got no more room, so I'm afraid you'll have to spend eternity in purgatory or go to hell. You might as well go to hell, because that's where your husband is. You probably have a better time, to be honest. And also, it's that thing of people saying, oh yeah, you should be tolerant. Be tolerant of different people's beliefs and let them be who they want to be. And I think, absolutely, but it's not particularly tolerant, is it, to tell me that if I don't believe in the thing that you believe in, I'm going to burn in the pit of fire for all eternity. But apparently that's absolutely fine, because that's what the religion says. Whereas I've got to be tolerant and say, oh yeah, fair play, mate. Oh dear. I am available, songs of praise, if you want me to do a little spot. Or failing that, thought for the day.
Hey, forgive me, Daddy, I've been a bad boy.
My goodness. I have no idea what the context of that is. Some bloke's just said to his friend, forgive me, Daddy, for I've been a bad boy. Unless he's referring to me as Daddy. I am the daddy of justice. Words got out. and maybe that was a bit of a laugh at the end, but maybe that was a nervous laugh. They've heard the drills from the neighbourhood watch, and they know that I'm patrolling. If you are a Jehovah's Witness, so why don't we come to a deal? How about I'll be tolerant of your belief as long as you don't keep banging on about me burning in an eternal fire? You know what I mean? I'm just saying that I think your belief is a little bit silly. That's all I'm saying. You're telling me I'm going to get burned for all eternity, along with some of the world's most evil bastards. And also, I don't quite understand the whole blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. I don't understand that, because presumably that will be at the end of all time. So does that mean you won't be in heaven? You'll inherit the earth. So at the end of time, when the sun has exploded and life is not sustainable, you will return to this burnt out planet. And then God will say, well done for staying quiet. This is yours now. Okay, this is my penultimate chance with the hula hoop. The big ball once again is in my hand. I have been practicing my circular rocking motion. It's time to... Oh, hang on. There's one thing I haven't done.
Oh, my God.
It's time to hula hoop. It's happening. It's happening. It's going... Listen. It's happening.
That's it. Rock back and forward. Keep it going.
It's happening,
So I think the key is you keeping your arms still. That's helpful.
Okay, so there's one final chance to get this fully done, and then who knows where I go from there. The Olympics. Tomorrow is the big one.
Put your hand in my big box, pull out a cassette. We have no idea right now what's on it yet. But then we press play, we'll hear what we get. It's time to play a game we call Cassette Roulette.
It's quite a drum and bass heavy podcast this week. The Nuptials or Neighbours jingle, the Cassette Roulette jingle. It wouldn't surprise me if I'm getting calls from drum and bass DJs to come and MC on their tracks. And it's a good job I've got the studio microphone plugged in so that they can hear the timbre of my voice. I don't know what they're looking for, drum and bass DJs, when it comes to a drum and bass MC, but I'm surely timbre has got to be. Or timbre, it's sort of a French thing, it's an IM sound, so it probably should be an sound, I believe. Timbre. I don't know what it takes to be a drum and bass MC. I know what it takes to be a garage MC. Do you know what it takes to be a garage MC, listeners? Just give you a bit of time to think about that. I have mentioned this on a previous podcast, because in the song Do You Really Like It by DJ Pied Piper, which incidentally doesn't say who the MC is, and the MC is just banging on about DJ Pied Piper, but the MC never gets a call out. Compare that to DJ Luck and MC Neat. You know, equal billing. So I don't know what's the situation there, but presumably DJ Pied Piper is a domineering force, and the MC, maybe he's a bit afraid to ask for a name check. The MC, whoever he may be, just kowtows to the ways of the Pied Piper. He just follows him, rather aptly. Maybe he's called the Pied Piper for a reason. And in the song, Do You Really Like It? He tells you what it takes to be a garage MC. And he says it takes personality and originality. What, you don't believe me?
What does it take to be a garage MC? Personality, originality.
There you go. Just for the doubters. We were talking about Christianity before, and people needing evidence, and some people just rely on faith, and I didn't want you to just blindly follow me. But it's good to know that DJ Luck and MC Neat had a more egalitarian, respectful relationship. But what he doesn't mention, the MC, whoever he may be, he mentions personality and originality. He doesn't mention completely kowtowing to the egotistical needs of the DJ, which is clearly what's going on here. Maybe he's just really modest. Maybe that's another thing that it takes to be a garage MC. And he could have said, what does it take to be a garage MC? Personality, originality, and I think modesty. You know, I've got a lot of modesty. But maybe he felt that he was too modest to say how modest he was. So he just thought, I'll leave modesty out. The MC from DJ Pied Piper fame, he might be in with a chance with the Jehovah's Witnesses. You know, if they say, when they knock on his door and they say, have you heard the phrase, blessed are the meek? He'll say, I'll tell you how meek I am, my friend. I was the MC, the only voice to appear on the #1 song, Do You Really Like It? And the Jehovah's Witness is like, oh yeah, DJ Pied Piper. And say, yeah, you know his name, but you don't know my name, because I was so meek that I didn't even ask for a mention. And the Jehovah's Witnesses said, you've got me there, mate. You've out-meeked me. You've out-meeked me there. Fair play. My theme this week, by the way, says the Jehovah's Witness, is love. Are you good when it comes to love? Mate, I refer you back to my song. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. I'm loving it like this. I'm loving it like that. Yeah, fair play, mate. You did say that. You've got me snookered again. Anyway, Cassette Roulette is back. That's the point.
Cassette Roulette.
So for new listeners, the idea of Cassette Roulette, as the jingle says, Ellie puts her hand in my big box of cassettes. Many cassettes that I recorded from being a child up to my teenage years, probably ranging from 4 years old to about 17 maybe. And obviously there are more of the later ones that have survived. Some of the ones that I recorded when I was 4 would have been recorded over. So unfortunately I've got fewer of those. And this is one of the later ones that I'm going to play you. And Ellie hasn't actually put her hand in my big box today. Well, it's her birthday, not mine, so it's not my time for a treat. She's busy in the other room working out how to put up some shelves. As you heard on the podcast, I bought her some shelves as a birthday present. She really wanted some shelves. She kept going on about she wants these shelves for a craft room. I don't want you thinking this. I've just given her a bit of DIY to do for her birthday. She requested them. I once bought my dad a bread maker for Christmas, and I bought him a bread maker. I probably said this on the podcast. I probably said everything on the podcast in time. I mean, I don't see why I wouldn't have done. I've been doing a podcast since 2016. If I've not told her I once got my dad a bread maker for Christmas anecdote, then what the bloody hell have I been doing? Faffing around, chuntering about Jehovah's Witnesses? Get the bloody bread maker anecdote out, David. I mean, I'm surprised you're not telling this as a stand-up routine. I mean, why wasn't it on the Radio 4 series? It must have been about 10 or 15 years ago now. I was in the dentist's. I was in the dentist, the dental clinic. That's what I mean. Sounds a bit odd to say I was in the dentist. That's a different story. Yeah, I was in the dentist, and he enjoyed our lovemaking so much. He said, "How can I thank you, David? I feel like I need to give you a gift." He said, "I love the way that you make love, but how do you make loaves?" I said, I don't really make my own bread. And he said, "I'm a passionate bread maker." And he gave me his bread machine, his pride and joy. That's not how the story unfolds, just in case you weren't sure about that. I was in the dentist's reception area. Even that sounds euphemistic. I was in the dental clinic in the reception bit. I wish you'd stop interrupting me. We've got to do Cassette Roulette, for goodness sake. I was in the reception, and it was around Christmas time, and the DJ, whoever it was at this local radio station, I can't remember the DJ's name. He didn't have an MC who was constantly going on about who he was. But I'm assuming it wasn't DJ Pied Piper. For a start, he wasn't doing garage. It was a local radio station. And also he was talking. And if one thing we know about DJ Pied Piper, he doesn't do the talking. Of course there is another option. Maybe DJ Pied Piper is also the MC. Let's Google it. Oh no, he does shout himself out. It's by DJ Pied Piper and the Master of Ceremonies. And actually, it does say that in the song. He says, "We're the Master of Ceremonies." What, you don't believe me? Listen.
We're the masters of the ceremony.
But Master of Ceremonies just means MC, so it's not... Is it technically his name? I mean, actually, you could argue that's very egotistical, because MC means Master of Ceremonies. So for him, this MC, to just go, "I am ubiquitous, I am literally the Master of Ceremonies," that's absolute rampant egotism right there. So if the Jehovah's Witness came to the door, he'd have every right to lecture him about being meek. Anyway, sorry. The point is, it's time for Cassette Roulette. Come on, David. You can do this. Oh no, bread maker. This local DJ, he was saying, and we're talking about the worst Christmas presents you've ever received. Worst Christmas gifts you've ever received. We've got a message here. This is a bad one. My partner bought me a bread maker. Needless to say, I was livid. I can well imagine. My goodness, that is a bad one. And I was thinking, a bread maker? It sounds like a great present. I'm not even sure this is like 15 years ago. I don't know if I'd ever heard of a bread maker before. I like the fact that I qualify it. This is 15 years ago. As it, the bread makers, they weren't really heard of in those days. They were still in their infancy. We're talking 2010 or something here. The early days of bread making technology. I don't know if I'd ever heard of a bread maker, though. But immediately, my first thought was, that would be a brilliant Christmas present for Dad. And sure enough, I bought him it. He was over the moon. He uses the bread maker loads. It was an inspired gift, courtesy of a feature about worst Christmas presents. And now, my friends, it's time for a little feature we call Cassette Roulette. Cassette Roulette! Brilliant. Slickly done, David. Ellie has not put her hand in my big box today. This is a clip that I was going to play on a podcast episode many years ago, but I didn't because it's not at all funny. And I didn't want people to think I was playing it because I was trying to make light of it, because it's quite a harrowing listen. This must have been somewhere between 1998 and 2000. And by the way, I was inspired to play this because of Ben, who messaged, who comes from Teesside, and he was listening to the most recent episode of the David Eagle podcast, and he sent us a little review on Audible. I had no idea we were even audible on Audible, but apparently we are. But Ben also messaged and said he's gone back and listened to some of the earlier episodes, and he enjoys the Cassette Roulette clips that featured Teesside's radio talk shows from the 90s. And these talk shows are completely different to the BBC, where impartiality was the rule. the presenter wouldn't really give their opinion. But that wasn't the case on these commercial shows, on these local radio stations. In the main, they could just say whatever they wanted. And then people would ring in, have a go at the presenter, and the presenter would just tear into these people and just call them all sorts and have a right go at them. Nationally, one of these presenters was Jeremy Kyle. He started out on radio, and obviously we know what happened to him. But anyway, this is a clip that I found on a cassette from a talk show on Century Radio. This is a radio station that covered the entirety of the North East. This would have been a show between, I don't know, something like 10 o'clock on the night till 1 in the morning or something. And the presenter here is Adrian Allen. I only have this tiny snippet from this particular show, but I'd obviously just tuned into this and pressed record. I don't know why I pressed record. I hope it's because I was absolutely incredulous and disgusted at the content, but I'm hoping that I didn't take the presenter's side and think it was quite funny in my naivety at the age of 12 or 13. But here we go. This went out across the entirety of the North East on a really popular radio talk show, so I'll play this clip. So I think the clip just speaks for itself, essentially, he says after rambling about it for 3 minutes. But I don't know what the news story was or something like that. I think they were talking about the law was that gay men couldn't have sex until they were 18. And the presenter's position, seemingly, was that this was a great idea for whatever reason. Well, we find out the reason. It just seems to be based on bigotry, essentially.
Can't you not see?
I'm sure you can work this out for yourself, but the first voice you're hearing is the person who's calling into the station. The next voice will be the presenter's voice. Also, I just wanted to point that out just in case you were a bit confused there. I thought that I hadn't started playing the clip and that someone had just burst into the room and just started heckling me. Can't you not see? You blind bastard! I just wanted to point that out. The studio has not been invaded by a heckler. Anyway, back to the clip. Let's see if we can get through more than 1 second before I interrupt this time. Come on, David. Here we go.
Can't you not see that if it's legal for girls at 16, then it must be legal for boys at 16?
Do you know what surprises me, John?
What?
You don't actually sound drunk.
I'm not. Why?
Are you? Well, no, but you know, you can't be compos mentis the way you're talking to me.
Now, what the point I'm going to put through is this, Adrian. I've put this point through to the Queen, and I've spoken personally with the Queen on this one.
Unfortunate term of phrase, the point you're talking about.
I mean the Queen as she is, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Now, the point that I put forward...
What did you go? Here, Liz, it's John and Alfred. Can I have a word, pet?
Was quite simply this, Adrian. A boy can leave school at 18. If he has the sexual orientation to be gay, he may start in a factory or a place of employment, and he may see another young man that he forms an affection to. Now, when he gets his money at the end of the week, he can take him to see a football match, he can take him to the cinema, they can go out and to a restaurant and have a Chinese or an Indian meal. If they want to watch motorsport racing, they can go and do that. But the thing they want to do at the end of it all is go back together and get in bed, and that is not allowed to him. And yet he's putting money into the taxpayer, he is putting coffers into the government, he's keeping the monarchy going, he's keeping the democracy going by that point.
And he's committing an illegal act.
Not if it's 16. So supposing it was a girl who started work at 16 and saw another girl that she had an affection to. Supposing it was a boy who had an affection with a girl there. They could go and jump in the bed at the end of the night. It's never been illegal for two women, and it's never been illegal for a man and a woman. So why should it be illegal for two men?
Because, are you a Christian kind of fellow, John?
I am, Adrian, and before you ask, I'm not gay.
I didn't say that, old boy. I
noticed on one of your programs.
No, John, no. I'm not saying that you're gay at all. I mean, we can tell that you're not by a long way. I will say this. If you're a Christian kind of fellow, it says in your good book that it's deviant. And deviants are illegal. Do you catch my drift, John? Oh, sorry, you can't talk. I've closed the fader. How convenient.
So there. I find it absolutely incredible. So basically, he's just saying that being gay is deviant, and he's using Christianity as his reason for that. This goes back to what I was talking about in the park, this idea, you've got to be tolerant of different religions. You know, you need to tolerate different religions. But then these certain people use these religions to promote intolerance and say, well, our book says this. If there was nothing in the Bible about being gay, then would it be fine? Would he be absolutely fine with it, this presenter? so weird and so condescending on so many levels. I mean, the fact that he accuses him of being drunk just because he holds this opinion, when he says he talked to the Queen, but the fact that he just goes, hey, and what did you say? Here, Liz, listen up, pet. Well, no, you don't know the story, like how he met the Queen or what the story is there. Why are you being dismissive about that? And he doesn't really answer the question as well about why it's okay for women, but it's not okay for men. Is it literally because in the Bible it says no man shall lie with another man, so he's taking the man bit literally? And then the fact that he puts on this posh accent to mirror his accent, so he's kind of taking the piss out of him for being posh, which is a bit weird as well. I mean, it's nowhere near as serious as the homophobia, but it's just like he just seems to be trying to discredit him on any value. You're drunk, you're deluded, or you're posh, so I'll have a go at you about that, and I'll put on a silly voice. And then when Adrian asks him, are you Christian? And he says yes, and he says, and before you ask me, I'm not gay. I don't quite get Adrian's thing of, oh no, we can tell you're not gay. We can tell that by a long way. What do you mean, how can you tell that? How can you possibly tell that? By his voice? By what he said? He's not said anything to suggest that he's not gay or that he is gay. I think it's a very important qualifying statement to say that you're not gay, because it's like, I'm not saying this because it'll benefit me. I'm saying this because I think it's the right thing. That is a very credible statement to make, that you're not gay. But then Adrian makes his point and then says, what do you think about that? Oh, you can't answer me. I've closed the fader. So there's no right to reply on that. And I don't think there was any repercussions. I don't think that was a scandal. I don't think that was a shock to anybody. I don't think... What I do know is he continued to present on Century Radio till 2005. And then he went on to present... I think he went to present on a BBC talk show, which went out all over the northeast and Cumbria. I'm pretty sure I remember hearing him on there. But I don't know what his presenting style was like, because he can't have done that on the BBC. Maybe he was a bit more mild-mannered on there. I wonder if he changed his view at all. One thing I do know, though, he wasn't sacked for it, obviously, from the radio. I wouldn't imagine there'd be any repercussions. There probably wasn't any kind of media storm or anything like that. There wouldn't have been probably even any mild reprimand. What I find crazy about this is it wasn't illegal to be gay in 1998. And presumably the topic of conversation was, should 16-year-old men be allowed to have sex with each other? That was the topic of conversation. Adrian completely swayed off that and essentially just said, well, it's deviant. It's deviant. It's wrong. It's clearly just bigotry. He doesn't like gay people. Or at least he doesn't like gay men. He doesn't seem to have a problem with gay women. I wonder why that might be, Adrian. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of research now into Adrian Allen. Let's see what we can find. Oh my goodness, he's still doing shows. He did a show 20 hours ago. It's called Adrian Allen's Theatre of the Mind. So he's still going. So we could get in touch with him. See if he's changed his mind. There's an article from 2002 here, from The Guardian. Oh my goodness, he was on LBC in 2002. A late-night shock jock is being investigated by watchdogs after a series of complaints from listeners. He's already got into bother with Ofcom for racism, homophobia and sexism. The big three. Now, this is 2002, so we could probably add transphobia to the list now. He must have been loving that when the transphobes started coming out, rubbing his hands together. Brilliant. I'm always up for a new category of bigotry. Why do you have to be so controversial, Adrian? People don't want to hear that stuff. They want to hear little anecdotes about bread makers. That's where the good stuff is, Adrian. Come on, follow the gold. I'm not entirely sure that's what Ben had in mind when he suggested that we played some more clips from Teesside radio talk shows, but there you go. And who'd have thought it? Adrian Allen. He's still going strong. Well, sorry, he's still going. I'm not sure how strong he's going. I don't actually know if he's on the radio anymore. This Adrian Allen's Theatre of the Mind is his own YouTube channel, seemingly. So I don't know if anyone's employing him anymore. Something else I remember about Adrian Allen is he kept always banging on about Reiki. He was a Reiki practitioner. I don't know much about Reiki and its validity or anything like that. I've never had a Reiki practitioner knock on the door and try to convert me. I think I'd be more interested about that. But they're not very hands-on, the Reiki people. The joke might not be that valid, actually. I have no idea about Reiki. I think you don't put your hands on. That's the whole point. You sort of hold your hands above the person rather than putting your hands on. In fact, I believe that was the confusion that the singer from Reef had, if you remember that song. And he just kept singing, put your hands on, put your hands on. And he's like, mate, I'm a Reiki healer. You want to see a chiropractor or an osteopath or a massage therapist or something, you've got the wrong profession. That's what the song's about, I believe. Or I think that's what the song was originally about. But then the record label, well, you won't believe what they did. They said, you can't have a song about Reiki. I think that's the story. I mean, I can have a look on the dark web, but I don't think I'll find it. And the reason I won't find it isn't because I've got a busy week and I can't possibly record something. I'm already probably not going to get a chance to do the Creaky Back parody. So many missed opportunities because I'm out doing stand-up gigs. I mean, this is why we need Patreon. Because if you can fund me, You can bankroll me. I won't have to leave the house and do these pesky gigs. I can just sit here and sing me little parodies. I've got an achy back. And then I can do a reef parody about going to see a Reiki practitioner. Put your hands on. That's not my profession, mate. You got me mistaken for a massage therapist. Anyway, I think that's the idea of Reiki. It's all about positive energy. So you can understand why Adrian's doing it. Because you just from that clip, you can hear he exudes positive energy. And if you were maybe thinking, I wish I could have some of what he's got, well, you can. Go and get some Reiki from him. But he doesn't strike me as that kind of bloke. He seems like a very sort of no-nonsense, pragmatic bloke. Unless I've completely misremembered, and he doesn't do Reiki at all. Well, come on, David, do some research. We've not had enough of this yet. All right, I will do. Hang on. Okay, I've done a bit of research. I have not misremembered. He is indeed a Reiki practitioner. He also does ninjutsu. He's, what the bloody hell? Big fan of Motorhead and Led Zeppelin, and he's a classically trained cellist. He's sort of a bit of a contradiction, this man. He's not what I would think. He's a motor mechanic by trade. And in his spare time, he studies philosophy. I mean, this is slightly ironic. His favourite philosophical quote is, if you realise that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. So I wonder if he has now changed his opinion on gay people. Who knows? He might be a new man. Or he's a believer in destiny. Apparently. I don't know who Destiny is. What an interesting man. Oh, and apparently he's a big trans rights activist. What an interesting man. You can see him on the picket line with his cello, and he leads everybody in a passionate protest song, and he sings, I don't care if they're a woman or a fellow, I'll stand up against bigotry and I'll play me cello. And that gets the crowd going, apparently. It's one of the favourites. I can't believe I'd not seen that before. And then he's got another one. We're not going to stand for it. We're mad and we're pissed. I think he's using pissed there as in pissed off. It's sort of the Americanism. We're not going to stand for it. We're mad and we're pissed. Now here's a cello symphony from Liszt. I mean, technically that one doesn't actually work because I don't think Liszt did a cello symphony, now I think about it. Let me just have a look. No, it doesn't work, that one. Liszt didn't do... He did works for cello and piano. That's presumably what Adrian's thinking of there. Franz Liszt's works for cello and piano. He didn't do a cello symphony, Adrian. Fortunately, he will have no problem admitting that he was wrong on that, because, he's a different man now. He's much more relaxed, and he accepts change. In fact, it's one of his favourite philosophical positions. He always accepts change, and there's no point holding on to things. Apparently, he causes absolute chaos at the supermarket checkout, dropping coins everywhere. Fortunately, Adrian does have another one, so this one does work. So this one's factually correct. I think it's a better one, actually, Adrian. He shouts from the picket line, bigotry, I'm not abiding. Now, here's Cello Concerto No. 1 from Haydn. So that one works. Anyway, unfortunately, none of this is true. Adrian Allen, to the best of my knowledge, has not been on a picket line supporting trans people playing his cello. I do apologise if you thought that was true, but now and again you will hear me just going off on a bit of a tangent, going off on a bit of a flight of fancy, in an attempt to generate some comedy. You might notice I do that from time to time. Do keep an ear out for that. But even when I am trying to be comedic, you'll notice that I take factual accuracy very seriously. A lot of comedians, they would have just done the joke about Liszt, and they're going, well, no one's going to know. Not me. And that's why people keep coming back. And that's the reason why I don't want to do adverts, because I don't want to be peddling propaganda. It's the final chance. It's the final day. We've come a long, long way together, in the words of Nina Simone. I think it was. Was it Nina Simone, wasn't it?
Yes, I was just thinking Fatboy Slim, but obviously...
But it's Nina Simone, isn't it, originally? I think, or was it Mama Cass? We've come a long, long way together. Is it Nina Simone or Mama Cass? Sorry, everybody. I know all you're interested in is the hula hooping. We'll get to the hula hooping soon.
Camille Yarbrough.
Oh, it's Camille who?
Yarbrough.
Camille Yarbrough, okay. In, of course, famously, the words of Camille Yarbrough. We've come a long, long way together. It's the final day. Surely it can't be an anticlimax. Surely it can't end with me reverting back to exactly how I was. Surely we are wanting right now a big moment, the Chariots of Fire moment. The big ball is in my hand. It's time for the final time. Well, apart from when I do it professionally, going forward, to hula hoop!
Oh my God, he's still doing it! It's a different method to mine. He's doing more of a twist and thrust. But he's successful so far.
He's doing it!
He's doing it!
I'm doing it! Oh, you bugger! Oh,
So it's still nowhere near what we've got from Ellie, but it's certainly been an improvement.
Over the week.
There we go.
Okay, you can drop the ball.
My ball's dropped. Oh. Well, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if Ellie's getting all formal for this part of the podcast now. I think it's become a lot of people's favourite bits, the round-offs. I think it's the impression that everyone's looking forward to, Ellie.
Oh,
but we'll come to that. Ellie has put a hat on for the occasion. What kind of a hat are we dealing with here, Ellie? What the heck's that? It's like a one of those pom-pom hats, the pom-pom is inside.
It's not the pom-pom.
So I've just belched a little bit there, listeners. I do apologise. I just have some lovely bread, which Ellie has made from Morocco, Razzle Hanout. Razzle Hanout. And I think of all the spices, that's got to be the one that sounds like a spell, like a Harry Potter spell, doesn't it? Razzle Hanout. Well, I don't know what Razzle Hanout would do, but it does sound like it would really... Or maybe it's the kind of spell that causes mirth. Because it sounds like razzle, so you think razzle-dazzle, Razzle Hanout, and then just merriment is abound. It's like an inverted pom-pom. It's
not an inverted pom-pom, that's my hair.
Oh,
so
right,
if I take the hat off, look.
Oh, he's got a hair in a bob. All right, Bob. Not too bad. I'm not sure why I've got this hair in me. But
so my hair's tied up in a mini bun. I was just feeling a bit cold, so I thought I'd put the hat on. Okay. And also, sometimes, because you've got that little bit of vision, you go, that's a lovely hat you're wearing. And one day you said that, and it was just because I dyed my hair a different colour and you hadn't realised. And I was like, no, it's my hair. And then for the whole day... A couple of days later.
Yeah, because a couple of times I'd done this, and he had dyed her hair, and I just assumed she was wearing a hat, and I'd go, "Oh, that's a nice hat, Ellie."
I was like, it's my hair. So then, for one day, I just decided to wear a hat for the entire day, and even we'd gone to bed, and I was still wearing it, and you hadn't noticed.
No. And I eventually, as we were about to go to sleep, I could just hear Ellie snickering away to herself, and I was like, "What is it?" And then she put a hand. She got hold of my hand and I thought, oh, yes, okay. And then she lifted it to her head and I was very disappointed.
And you went, what the bloody hell's that? And I was like, I've been wearing a hat all day and you haven't noticed. Anyway, what did you want to talk about, mate?
Well, it's going to have to be a quick one, I'm afraid, Ellie.
Not again.
Because I haven't done all the editing yet, but I think it's going to extend over an hour. So I think just having a nice 5-minute chat, it would be nice. I think one thing we probably need to talk about is there's been a bit of drama in our street. We've had a situation where someone has had a brick thrown through their window. The person who's had the brick thrown through the window, we're not sure why. It seemed like it was an intentional attack, basically. It's been caught on CCTV. They knew what they were doing. It felt like it was done out of malice, as if they were trying to right some kind of wrong here. But we think what's probably happened is, we won't give numbers and that kind of thing, but we think on the street there is apparently a drug dealer.
Yes.
And
they might have annoyed someone, and then that person's exacted revenge, but got the wrong house.
Got the wrong house. That's the theory that's going up and down the street. But I'm not sure, and I feel almost as if we shouldn't be talking about this, because I think is it just a coincidence? I think they did get the wrong house. I think maybe they were aiming for our house. And I think one of the reasons for this is because word is clearly getting out among the hoodlums of Sheffield, the Hillsborough hoodlums, what a team,
that you're out and about.
That I'm out and about trying to thwarting crime, and people are trying to deal with that situation. And maybe I shouldn't have announced that they got the wrong house, because that's just adding, I was going to say adding grist to the mill, but that's not the right phrase. I feel like I'm all over the place a little bit today. I've just come back from a rather harrowing gig in Doncaster, and my goodness, we'll talk about that maybe on next week. I was going to say on tomorrow's episode, tomorrow's entry, which it will be tomorrow's entry, but you'll have to wait another week for that, assuming, of course, that you're listening to this as soon as it comes out. And I'm absolutely astounded by how many people seem to be listening to this podcast who get in touch with me within like an hour or two of the podcast coming out with a forensic analysis.
Which is also interesting, because I only know what you're talking about with the catching the murderers, because I've only just finished listening to last week's podcast.
But it's lovely to have your comments. Sorry that we're not reading all of your comments down, but it's generally just because you're just saying how much you enjoy the podcast.
And nobody wants to listen to that.
We don't want that. We're not Steve Wright here. We're not doing Steve Wright.
R.I.P.
I wonder if anyone tried to do like a Steve Wright parody, maybe like a Steve Wrong. He's like a Bernard Manning of the DJ world. And he's like, I'll tell you about your mother-in-law. Send him home. Send him back. He's Simply Red. I like the idea. Oh, and what else could you have? Like, you could have parodies of like other DJs at the time, like Chris Moyle, maybe, who's he just talks about circumcisions, people he circumcised. Because obviously, a Moyle is the Jewish person who does, and the reason I know that a Moyle is the person who does the circumcisions. I just remember as well, you've been going around the house singing a sort of a Jewish song or something, because we've been talking about things that we remember from school, and you've been singing some kind of shalom song.
Yes. Shalom, my friend, may peace be with you throughout your days. In all that you do, may peace be with you. Shalom, shalom. It's a round as well.
Yeah, why don't we try it as a round then? You do one bit, I'll do I can't remember what the words are, but we'll get the hang of it. And then listeners, you can join in and add a third part.
And perhaps a fourth if there's two of you.
I like the idea of a couple listening together. We did have that. The folk singers, Catherine Roberts and Sean Lakeman.
Yep.
They listened to the podcast in bed.
Oh,
I don't know if it was as a kind of a thing to get them going. Yeah, that was their foreplay. So, yeah, feel free to try it in a harmony. We could start a sort of a podcast choir if you'd like to record your little bits, as it were. That's a different one. So let's try this then. So it's Shalom, my friend.
Shalom, my friend, may peace be with you throughout your days. In all that you do, may peace be with you.
Shalom, shalom. Okay, sorry everybody, I had to do that because I wouldn't be able to sing otherwise. Okay, I hope we don't have any Jewish people who feel that's disrespectful there, but I feel I had to get it out. So let's give it a go while it's fresh in my mind. You start. When do I come in? So you go. Shalom.
Okay, you've lowered it.
Well, it's not lower, it's an octave lower.
My friend,
Shalom, shalom, shalom. It's the same thing, it's just an octave.
Shalom, my friend. Shalom, my friend.
Okay, and then you come in and listen. Shalom, my friend. If you can keep your hands off each other, Catherine and Sean, you can join in. I wonder if they still listen. Because we're getting new listeners who are coming through all the time, but we've lost sight of the old ones. Where's Amore? Amore, she was always in That's Amore. Every single time there was a podcast, but not anymore for Amore. Are you still out there, Amore? What's going on? Anyway.
We hope you're all right.
We hope you're all right. What kind of podcast have you gone to? We hope you haven't gone down this rabbit hole at the conspiracy theory podcasts and that kind of thing. Let's try a bit of Shalom.
Where are we starting?
Well, it's from Shalom, I think.
No, the note, you dickhead.
Oh, the same one. This is very... I did tell you, if you want to play this in your local synagogue, feel free, listeners. Shalom.
Okay. Shalom, my friend.
Shalom, my friend. May peace be with you throughout your day. In all that you do, may peace be with you. Shalom, shalom, my friend. Shalom, my friend. May peace be with you throughout your days. In all that you do, may peace be with you. Shalom, shalom. We should maybe try and find a round for all sorts of different religions. We've been talking about Jehovah's Witnesses on this week's podcast. Do the Jehovah's Witnesses have a round? Or is that another thing that they don't agree with?
Maybe not. Yeah, well, now that I'm building my birthday shelves, it means that I can get all my old music books out, and the Shalom song is in one of those. It's like Alleluia 77 songs for schools or something.
Excellent.
So
brilliant.
Something
There's something to do.
I know it's got Oh Cinnamon in it.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh Cinnamon, where have you gone?
Where you going to run to? Oh, cinnamon. I mean, it's a great name.
Hey, we started with Razzle Hanout. We've now followed it up with a bit of cinnamon.
It's also got Love is Like a Magic Penny, which I
don't know that
one. The other day.
I don't know that one. Maybe Magic Penny. That's what she shouts. Razzle Hanout. Oh my goodness, it's a shame we have to leave soon because
Isn't it? This is going to be quick, mate.
thrusting on all cylinders here. I mean, it's quite surprising. I'm managing to thrust on all the cylinders, but I couldn't do the hula hooping.
No.
Although I did manage to get it reasonably in the end. We might try and release some video footage of that maybe in the next week or two.
Maybe. It is quite the visual treat.
Talking of shaloms, of course, when I hear the word shalom now, of course, who do I think of?
Mark Heap.
Mark Heap from Friday Night Dinner. So I'm wondering how your Mark Heap is, Ellie. Maybe we could try a little Mark Heap impersonation. Do you think you could maybe?
I don't. I feel pressure.
The thing is, it doesn't. I don't think people are expecting any kind of. People aren't expecting any necessarily authenticity or it to be completely accurate. And you're on mission. You're not claiming to be accurate. We're just giving these things a little bit of a go. That's all. Ben messaged in to say that your Mel C sounded more Sonia, but I mean, still, I think you're very good at accents, aren't you? Maybe we need to.
Yeah, but also like there's some people I can do, but I have like certain phrases that I do that sound like them. And then having to sort of say goodbye to the listeners, that's a different skill.
It is difficult. It's like when you're trying to do like a Somerset accent, you can do like a ooh to get into it, but just getting into it without going ooh can be difficult. Even the Wurzels have a bit of a hard time. They have to keep going ooh.
Shalom, Jackie.
No, it doesn't sound.
No, I used to be able to do it, but I think I have to think about it more, and I'm not in that brain at the moment.
I think maybe we move away from impressions and we do accent of the week. So it's a different accent that you're saying goodbye in.
I don't know. Like half my family's from Birmingham, so...
Don't do it now. Don't do it now. We'll have a Birmingham accent to say goodbye with listeners. Thank you very much. Lovely to have you on board, everybody. Great to have more and more new listeners coming forward, either people who've been told about it from a friend or just happening upon it because they've seen me at a gig or something like that. I don't think we'll be getting many people from after my gig in Doncaster who will be following the David Eagle podcast, but there we go. Also, sometimes Ellie is just recruiting people wherever she goes. You went to the dentist's last week, Ellie. Yep. Fortunately, unlike me, she did not encounter a bread-making dentist who she made love to. Ellie will find out all about that next week when she listens. You did a bit of recruiting at the dentist's.
Well, because when you saw someone...
And it can be like pulling teeth, trying to recruit at the dentist. Anyway, continue.
When you saw someone, it happened to be the same person I saw. So when I went in, I was like, oh, you saw David? And he was like, oh, yeah, I saw the surname and thought it was a coincidence. And I hadn't realised. I was chatting to him and saying about your Radio 4 series, which is still available on BBC Sounds, and your podcast, which has a roughly 214 episodes available in the back catalogue. So he said, right, I'm going to listen. So hello to Ben. Different Ben to the other one. We've got two people called Ben listening. I mean, we're really going places this podcast. And maybe also still
or
listening.
Maybe as well, she's there.
Maybe also listening is old Ben, who lives abroad.
Oh, yes, who also got mentioned last week on the podcast. It's all coming together. So, yes, I mean, one thing that I found absolutely astounding, Ellie, was how you had a drill in your mouth. This is back at the dentist, by the way. This is not, she wasn't utilising the services of the local neighbourhood watch outreach service. Ellie will find out what all that's about when she listens later. You had your drill in your mouth.
I was getting a filling done and I fell asleep.
Yeah, I don't know how you managed to fall asleep.
I mean, it was
with a
quite
drill in your mouth.
thing.
He said that it wasn't that uncommon.
No, that it's a thing that happens.
You're really surprised about it.
Also, I've got to have my eyes closed because the light's very bright above me, and also I don't want to see what's going in my mouth because I can already feel the vibrations of the thing.
I can attest to that, listeners. Listeners, if you want to use this as a bit of a jumping-off point, my question to you is, where is the weirdest place? What's the weirdest situation where you've ever fallen asleep, listeners?
I fell asleep standing up once. For about 20 minutes. I was about, 14 or something, and I think I just sort of fell asleep. And I think I just leant against a wall and decided to fall asleep. I don't know if it's part of sort of just how my brain works, but I had to share a bed with one of my friends when I was working in Tanzania because we were on the way to Zanzibar, and it was really hot, and I was really aware that if I moved ever, I might accidentally touch her, and that would feel horrible because we were both too hot because it's, by the equator. And in the morning, she said that I was so still all night because I was very consciously sleeping still. She thought I was dead. She was worried. She kept
she
checking,
didn't-
so she couldn't. She
okay.
couldn't really fall asleep because she thought I was.
So ironically,
like,
you didn't want to work. You didn't want to deserve a sleep, but you
No,
actually disturbed.
made
And
it
that's
worse.
actually happened with me sometimes, where you've not been breathing, and
Yeah.
I've then, and I didn't want to wake you up in case you weren't, if you were still alive. But I'm trying to get my ear close enough to hear your breathing or not.
I mean, it was weird
But
the other
that's
day.
the moment, and you'll then let out. You'll be really quiet. I'll put my ear in, and you suddenly go, loud,
Maybe
enormous
I've got
snort.
sleep apnea and we just don't know. But then the other day I was just turning round in my sleep and you just leant over and shouted, "What?" at me.
Yeah,
Which really
I don't know what I was dreaming about. It must have given me a big shock. There was a time when I was woken up. Do you remember the time that I was woken up because you just suddenly shouted, "Shut up!"
Yeah, that was funny. But also because he just shouted "what?" I just went, I was just turning round. And I kind of like shrunk a little bit and, and it was 10 to 5 in the morning.
Well, it's time for us to shut up shop, I'm afraid, listeners, for another week. But we'll be back. Well, I'll be back tomorrow doing this bloody stuff again. You'll be back whenever you're back. Remember, there's another 214 episodes that you can visit or revisit at your leisure.
You can email the David Eagle podcast at gmail.com or you can message or follow David at the David Eagle on pretty much
on the
everything.
socials. Listeners, reach out on the old socials
Don't
there.
do
This
that,
is
Steve Wrong.
Steve Wrong. And I'll be talking about why Brexit hasn't gone far enough. But first, crowded house. And don't get me started, but I'll be talking about refugees in the second hour. Anyway, right, that's Steve Wrong, not my opinions, listeners. Okay. Well, it's only for me to say is goodbye. And from Ellie, it's
goodbye.
And, who's this that we have? It's, our friend has just arrived from Birmingham, who I think would like to say a little goodbye to you too, listeners.
Goodbye, listeners. Have a lovely day.
Ta-ra a bit.